Hello, No Coach listeners. It's Suzanne Kohlberg. Welcome to episode 49, Basic Tech Setup. And before you're like, oh my gosh, has Suzanne been body snatched? Basic Tech Setup with Birte. Welcome back to the show. So,
Hi.
what I'd love to, I was going to say pick your brain today, but I really don't like that saying, but everyone's familiar with it. But when you think about it, conceptually, it's gross. But anywho, what I want to discuss with you today is for people who are just starting out in business and are kind of either scared of the tech or scared of the cost of the tech. Because I remember like back on my startup days where clients were few and far between and things were inconsistent. I used to run my business via text message and email. Like I didn't have a scheduler, like I didn't have a calendar. I didn't even have Google Calendar, people. I had a diary. And then because I ran my business online, I'd have to do the conversions, the time going conversions for my clients in the US, and it was not pretty. And then I would have to remind myself to remind them of the session because, as I said, I had no automation. So send them a message a day before, oh, we've got our session at this time tomorrow. And it now that I think about it, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, this is exhausting. And then trying to do all the payments too. I didn't have Stripe or any of those type things set up. So originally I just used to do bank transfer because also too, I didn't want to pay fees. I was really, really cheap.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I believe, and maybe I'll end up doing an episode on this, we have three currencies available to us: time, energy, and money. So I might have been saving money, but I was expending a lot of time and energy to keep things frugal, and it did not turn out well.
Yeah. Did you know that I wrote my master's thesis on exactly that topic? I don't think we ever talked about that, but yeah, I wrote my master's thesis on the topic of like using time or energy in your business. And it was very clear that, like, of course, in the beginning, you always use more of your time because you don't have the money to invest in your business yet. But I don't think your business in the beginning needs to be complex or have crazy systems. And we talked about that in the last episode, right?
Yes.
So there can be like a really low tech setup. And I mean, most people, when they start out as specifically coaches, but also other online services, you have a subscription to some kind of like Zoom, or
I had
maybe
Zoom. So where I went, and maybe this can help you jump in.
Yeah.
So I had Zoom. I was paying for that. So my my next thing was a scheduler. So I actually started out with Calendly. This was back in 2017. At that time, I believe it's changed since, but at that time, Calendly would only accept payments in US currency. And I'm in Australia. So I ended up moving to what's called Acuity because you can set the payment. So my clients pay me in Australian dollars, which is a bonus for overseas people for most countries, not all of them. So I changed to that. And then the first tech setup person, because I tried to do it and wasn't that successful, obviously, what they did was linked my Acuity to my Zoom to my, then I went Active Campaign because I had MailChimp. For anyone listening, that's my email subscription service, because at the very beginning, I just used my Gmail. Please don't use that if you're find either a cheap or free. I believe MailChimp's still free. Because the
I
thing
would
is,
go with MailerLite. Like these days, MailChimp
Okay.
is maybe a bit outdated in its usability. MailerLite is a lot easier to use.
Is it free for the beginning?
Yes, it's
Perfect.
free when you start out.
So if you're starting up, make sure you do use a service like that, because legally people need to be able to unsubscribe. And if you're sending from your Gmail, they don't have that option. So
exactly.
And then the first investment I made was hooking them all together. So what would happen is somebody would look at my schedule, which would convert to their time automatically, no more back and forth, book in, pay. So that there was PayPal and Stripe set up then. And then all I need to do is log into my Zoom, go, oh, I'm seeing Sally Sue today, start session.
But if you think about it, like, I think the customer journey starts already a little bit earlier, right? Like your systems already start at where do people learn about you, right? And that's one of those big anxiety things for people, like website. Oh my God, I have to design a website, or I have to pay someone for a website. And I'm not even sure yet 100% what I want to do, maybe, or like you're changing your branding still.
Oh, that's so good. So I'm just going to pause you there for anyone listening. Just as a personal example, I didn't have a website for 2 years. I just used a
Yes.
Facebook page, not my personal profile,
Yes.
like a business page set up. And I didn't have colors and I didn't have a logo. Like all these things can
You
be
don't need
real
them in the beginning.
rate limiters. And the thing is, when what happened was my business was the most fun, honestly, when I didn't have any business coaching. I just kind of went gangbusters. And then when I hired my first business coach and they're like, what are your brand colors? What is your niche? What is your thing? I just freaked out. And actually that held me up for about 6 months. And I spent all this time navel gazing and getting colors and designing a logo, which
comparing yourself to others. That's my big thing, is that I see everyone else who's like huge on Instagram or something, and I haven't posted on Instagram in about 2 years. And so like this comparison of like between yourself and others, right?
To end up rowing down the river of misery, mired in your not enoughness.
And being frozen like the deer in headlights, right? Like not doing anything because you're frozen in this comparison of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not professional enough, I'm not there yet, like, right? That's a huge thing.
And the thing is, what are you doing? So like for me, it's funny. It's like if I was an interior designer or something, maybe color palette would be great, or I don't know, but like I'm coaching people, like and not on aesthetics.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm someone who's highly aesthetic and like in how I do things, and like a very, very bad branding can turn me off from someone. If someone has really ugly stuff that really doesn't vibe with me, that can, of course, be a reason why someone doesn't buy from you, right? It can be a thing. And beautiful branding can help. It is one of those, like, you know, that's 15 seconds, like, you know, 3 seconds, whatever, like of, you know, when people meet each other and you know if you vibe with a person or not. The same thing happens with your visual branding, right?
But I love how you said there, I'm just going to interrupt you because you and I talk over each other all the time, so we roll. It can help. But the thing is, I think what happens is sometimes people like it's icing, but you need cake.
Yes.
So it's kind of like
it's one of the, and it's one of those imperfect action is better than no action, right? Like, and that's one of those things. And that's why, like, you know, start out with your Instagram. If your audience is on Instagram, right? Put in some pinned posts, put some pinned stories, that kind of stuff, with like talking about your services. There's so many people these days out there who only sell on social media or via their email marketing or whatever it is. They don't have a website, and that's totally valid. You can have your email sign up, like your newsletter sign up, if you want to do email marketing stuff like that. Most email marketing systems these days offer free landing pages where people can sign up to your email list. You don't need to have a website for people to sign up to your email list and for you to do email marketing.
I love that. And just once again, I'm going to shout out to Laura Gates Lupton, who was on a few episodes ago. We spoke about her last episode. We spoke about her Google doc to sell her program. She also has a simple landing page for her letters. She mentioned it, I can't remember what it's called, something like Dear Laura, and that's how you get on her email list, and she sends a weekly email. So the same for me. Like back in 2017, I decided email marketing was going to be my thing. So I started with the free MailChimp, but as you said, now use MailerLite. I didn't have an opt-in. I didn't have a freebie. I didn't have a sequence. I literally just would write stuff and then say, hey, if you enjoyed this, join my list. I built my list to 500 people without any of the stuff. And then when I hired this business coach who told me I needed a freebie and a nurture sequence, and I just freaked out, and I actually found I started getting less subscribers than when I was just saying, hey, if you like this, join my list.
I mean, there's a very valid point why the big names like Amy Porterfield used to like have this big system of like she'd have a different freebie with each podcast episode and like all these kinds of things, right? Yeah, if you're a big name like that and you have multiple team members, you can do that. But like for the average coach who's starting out by themselves, that's a very not possible thing for you to do. And like for everyone out there, if you ever felt like, how do those people do it? They have a team. They have a big team of people who do it for them, right? They don't write all those landing pages themselves. They don't make all the techie things happen for all those things. They have a team who does it for them, right? Yeah, they record the podcast episodes and they probably have input on the topics and all those kinds of things. But, you know, like that is a very different level of business than where people usually start out. And it's a very scary thing to compare yourself with those people.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you think about it, when you're a kindy at school, I don't know if you guys call it kindergarten there, prep,
Yeah,
grade 1.
kindergarten is actually a
And
German word.
and you, oh, I did not know that. And you
Yeah.
see the grade 12s or like the final stage things, they look so big and tall and massive.
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
know so much more than you because they've got
Yeah.
12 and 13 years more experience
Yeah,
than you as well.
exactly.
So it's like
Yeah.
you don't need, we're not knocking
Yeah.
these things. We're not saying that one day you
No,
might
of
not
course
have
not.
them, but to get
Yeah.
going, your basic setup, and
Yeah.
I didn't actually look
Yeah.
at what time we hit record, so we're probably at time. So I'll just, to sum this
Yeah.
up and bring us home, Bertie, what
Yeah.
one tip would you give someone who's like, okay, I've been kind of dabbling in the business field for ages because like
Yeah.
I feel I look at
Yeah.
the others and go, I don't have that. What would the most basic thing that they do require?
Yeah.
In
Two
your
things.
words?
One thing is, where can people learn about you, information about you, and what you offer and those kinds of things. And the second thing, a way for people to pay you, and easily so. So a scheduler, a checkout, whatever it is for you, may it be a PayPal button, but something where they can easily buy from you. And maybe not, if you're someone who wants to have a call beforehand, that's fine. Then maybe first a scheduler, but just something that like lowers the barrier of like people buying from you. They shouldn't have to message back and forth with you 5 times until you send them a Stripe invoice or something, and then they pay you that way, right? Like it should be a reasonably simple way for them to buy from you. But those are the two things. Really, people need to know about your offers and then be able to buy them. That's all you need.
My nervous system, literally, my shoulders, if you're watching this on the YouTube, just relax in that. How basic is that? A way for them to connect with you, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. It could be a website, like the way that you like to, whatever, and a way for them to then pay you.
Yeah.
Talk about basic tech setup. So if people are listening and they're like, okay, I'm still kind of feeling overwhelmed. Like, it's so funny how humans, we all do it. Our brains tend to complicate the simple. And they want to get in contact with you. What would be the best thing for them to do?
You can find me at birdyand.co. That's BIRDY, and like the word and .co. And that's where you can schedule a call with me, have a consultation with me. And I do tech setups for my clients. And I do these very simple setups for people, especially something like you have with your scheduler and like those kinds of things. Those are the kind of systems I set up. And I can do them in VIP days where, we do one day where we have a consultation where we plan what your system will look like. And then we have another day where I implement it. And then I give you support afterwards. I make videos for you on how you can use it yourself. You can replicate it too. So maybe you have a new offer and you need to make a second checkout or whatever it is that you need. That you can do that yourself if you want to. But I'm also available to you that if you want to hire me again, because maybe something broke later on, or maybe you don't want
maybe you broke
you
it.
want to launch something new.
It was me.
Yes. Maybe you want to launch something new. You're always free to hire me again, but I do those like very simple setups for people to start out with, or maybe you're switching systems, maybe you're not happy with your systems, how they are, and I can do custom systems for you that really work for you and your needs.
I love that. And if you want to check out some of Bertie's work, if you go to my website, suzannekohlberg.com, click around there, look at my program is there, why wait, and you click on how to join it. And so you can buy it if you want to, shameless plug, but just so you can see what we're talking about. And if you also go to, I think I've got masterclass there under free resources, I've got Get Coached. All those systems have been set up by Bertie, and they are as simple as, oh, I could join her newsletter, and you can see some examples of free ones, and you can see some examples of paid ones. And if you want to be what it's like to see the emails and everything, go through one of the free ones, sign up, join my list. But it really is that simple. And then Bertie does, as she said, send you, like, I think it's Loom, I'm not sure, a little short video showing what she's done. So if you're like, oh, you want to duplicate, make your own, or change out something, you can go it alone, or if you want the continued support. But 100% encourage it, because once you have that, for me, the freedom of time and energy was the long-term cost of money. That's been the best investment in my business by far.
And being able to run your business on your own again, right?
Yes.
We always get told that we need to have so many freelancers in a team and outsource and whatnot, but not everyone wants that. Not everyone has the mental capacity to manage a team. And with those kinds of systems, you can do that by yourself.
Oh, totally. Yes. And I think, you have the intermittent subcontractor when you want to do
Yes.
something new or create something new,
Yes.
rather than having to have a permanent VA, PA,
Yeah.
EA, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for
Exactly.
joining me, Birdie. Thank you, everybody, for
Thanks for
listening.
having me.
Catch you on the next one. Bye for now.